Healing Alacrity Mirage is finally viable. Yes, you heard that correctly. Healing Alacrity Mirage. It exists and it's, in my opinion, actually quite broken. This build is very strong in an amount of healing output, has crazy good boons as well. It's actually quite close to Chronomancer in the amount of boon output and stuff it can get, and the healing is actually better than it, so it's actually a really good alternative to it. Be sure to watch the whole video to not miss out a thing about this amazing build. As always, special shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now, without much further ado, let's jump straight in. Big credits for this build to Kyla. Thanks for showing it to me. Now let's start with the gear. So you run exactly the same gear that you would run on a Chronomancer. Exactly the same. So if you're going for healing Chronomancer, you can use the same gear here. So you would go for either full Harrier, full Minstrel, full Giver, something like that. You can mix and match what you want. The only important part is that you reach 79 or 80% of boon duration. This is really the highest, the important part. Of course, the highest healing power is always good, going for the highest amount of healing power, but the boon duration is the really important part. You can go for more toughness and vitality, just like I do here, for getting an easier time when you want to tank a boss, but that's the really important part. Going for healing infusion would be the most optimal choice, but it's obviously not necessary. And Superior Rune of the Monk is also very important. I have a special setup with my trinkets, so going for some Giver pieces and some Magi pieces. Link to my exact setup is in the description below, but like I said, it's not completely important that you have exactly the same setup. The only important part is getting to a roughly 80% boon duration and the highest amount of healing power. That's really the thing, what your build is all about. For your weapons, you would go with Harrier again as well, but you would use Energy and Transference Sigil or swap the Energy Sigil for Paralyzation Sigil. Depends a bit on your playstyle. We will see in a second why. But Transference Sigil should always be on there. And for your weapon, I would go with Rival, of course. That's a must on the healing build. But the second weapon set is very flexible. So you could go for a second Rival, like I just did here, to make use of the Energy Sigil. That's really the coolest part about this build. You can play Rival, and you can play it really safe, just very low intensity, and just swap weapons to actually get another dodge out of that. If you don't want to do that, or if you don't need that, it's mostly for the healing, you can go, for example, for a Staff for CC. You can go for Dagger and Focus, for example, or Dagger and Shield. So there are many options. Shield would be for swiftness and a block. You could go for Scepter main hand for another block. You could go for the Dagger for a little bit more damage and some nice ambush attack as well. Or you could go for the Focus for the pull. So it depends a bit on the situation. You should swap your weapons depending on the situation. But I would say Rival is the most important part because of the ambush attack that gives healing on its addition to Vigor and Alacrity. So it's really, really good. For the Relic, that's the same. You also want either to go with Relic of Altruism if you struggle to upkeep 25 might. That's a really easy way to actually get to 25 might. But you can swap this one to Relic of the Flock. If you want to have more healing or more barrier, that's obviously very good as well. That's the most defensive option if you can upkeep the might any other way. And if you need swiftness uptime, which is not that easy to get, then you would go for Relic of Febe. Relic of Febe gives you swiftness on Condic Lens on your heal, so you would easily upkeep swiftness with this. So switch the relic to the situation. I would say the most optimal choice would be Flock in terms of healing, if you can upkeep might and swiftness by other means, for example, using an offensive supporter that upkeeps might as well. In typical groups, I think might should not be an issue if you typically get this quite well here to 25 as well, but the altruism helps if you struggle with that. So for the consumables, it's a classical healing build. You are really the healer, so you want to go for Bowl of Fruit, Salad with Mint Garnish. Just more outgoing healing, more healing power and concentration, it's perfect. If you can't afford the Ascended version, you would go with Delicious Rice Balls. Just the same healing output, but you lose the concentration. That's okay. And then for utility consumables, there's only one option, which is the Bountiful Maintenance Oil. It's so good. It gives so much outgoing healing effectiveness. That's just a must. Even if it's expensive, it's just so good. Before we get to the trades, I want to mention, if you like this video and if you want to support the channel, be sure to leave a like. And if you want to see more content like this, be sure to subscribe, because there will be more guides, especially about Mirage coming up actually, because this build is the healing version, but there will be also a version which is more aggressively tuned. So like an offensive support, even some Celestial build. There will be a lot of variations coming from Mirage. Be sure to subscribe to not miss out a thing on that. But now let's go to the trades. So for the trades, you run the same setup as a Heal Chrono, Chaos, Inspiration, just switch Mirage instead of Chrono in there. You'd get a lot of passive things here in just boons in Chaos. You get Regeneration, you get some Chaos Aura. you get some concentration while you have regeneration. That's really important because that helps you together with the food to get to 100% wound duration. That's really important, but you will obviously always be affected by regeneration. Then you use your Shatter skill 2, applies a lot of protection. Because of a special trait that we get to in a second, you can upkeep that so easily because of that. It's insane. Protection on Chronomancer can sometimes be a little bit like you have to be a bit aware that you always shatter the 3 clones. On Mirage, it doesn't matter. You just spam it and it's permanent, easy. On Chaotic Transference, you just get the regen uptime 100% because of this trait. Those two together work very well. You get, of course, Bountiful Disillusionment, which makes so that you permanent stability on this build. And you can also provide stability with your F4 for allies. You can get permanent fury for your allies and just vigor and might. That's really, it's a lot of good boons. So that's why I use this. And then you have your inspiration trait line, which is the healing trait line. Just some nice Condic Lens on your healing skill. Just some H's when you use your F4 that can help. It's not only stability, but also H's. So that can be quite nice to deny attacks. Keep that in mind. And then, of course, some passive healing. Really, really good. Then you take mantras heal you. When you use a mantra, that's really good. Then you create a clone when you use a healing skill. That's also very, very good because you have the mantra. So you have an instant cast clone generation. That's really important for a second trait proc. We will see that. And then we have restorative illusions, of course, insane amount of value. Condic Lens, a lot of healing, and you spam your shatters like crazy. So you actually heal a lot with this trait. It's actually even more broken than on Chrono. It's really, really good. And then you have Mirage, of course, get access to your dodge. So you can now dodge while you cast other stuff. And you get access when you dodge to your ambush skills. That's the important part why you can play this build, because your ambush skill on Rival is like insane amount of healing. And with this trait, all ambush skills, that's a new trait, will apply Alacrity to allies around you. And the radius is actually quite big. And it's very easy. You just use your ambush skill and you easily get 30 seconds of Alacrity just by using a few ambush skills on this build. It's actually really easy. And you don't even have to use the rival one, so you can use any ambush skill depending on which weapon you are currently on. Then you take Renewing Oasis or Self-Deception. They are both not really impacting your build too much. Self-Deception is only useful when you have special utility skills, but this one is useful to some extent, but there is no real good choice here for the most part. This is the important choice. Always take that one, of course. And then you will want to take the Dune Cloak. This is a buff trait as well. Shatter skills grant Mirage Cloak if you have enough clones present. That was the same as before. So if you shatter with 2 or 3 clones, you will get Mirage Cloak. So you can use, after shattering 2 illusions, you can get access to the ambush skill. So you can spam your ambush skill even more often. But what's the buff thing here is that you now recharge time is reduced by 3 seconds of the F1 and F2. So that means that you use 2 shatters, clones, doesn't have to be F1 or F2, but it will reset the F2 and F1 by 3 seconds. That's insane. So that means that your F2 is like, you spam that off cooldown almost. It's insane. It's like shatter, 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 and that all of that heals and gives you access to Mirage Cloak so that you can use the ambush, and it's insane. It's insane. You will see that with the rotation. But it's really that the bread and butter of this build is like those 2 traits together, of course, with this trait as well. So it's really, really good. Now let's talk about the skills quickly. So, of course, your rival skills, like I said, the most important one is actually the ambush, so the auto attack. Then you have some healing here and clone generation. You have some nice healing and might and fury. So keep that in mind. Never double tap if you don't need the healing, because you want to upkeep your might and fury. And it's also important to use that at the beginning of a fight. And then you have the stun. Only use it when you need a stun or CC. That's really the cool part. You are very flexible here. On Chrono, you actually have to use that quite frequently, but here you can use it when you need CC. It's really nice. And then you get the portal and the barrier and the resistance of that. It's really good. Rival kit is insane. And the other weapons I already explained to some extent. Your shatters, of course, just used for healing. The F3 can be used for CC as well. And the F4 is like for a nice stability for your allies and just invulnerability for you, and also H's for your allies. So it's really overloaded. Really good boons as well on there. And then you have, of course, for your healing skill, I would always go for the mantra. Just very good clone generation, very good healing, especially with the Flock rune, insane amount of healing. And also gives you swiftness if you run the Faber rune, the Relic rather. So it's actually really important, really potent. Then I would always go probably for Power Break or the Mantra of Concentration, just for some stability access and some nice healing. Then I would go in most situations with Mirror Images if you want to get guarantee that you get the 2 clone shatter after that. That can just give you another ambush, but it's not necessary. You will see what in a second. And then we have Mantra of Distraction just for some more CC instant cast. But you can switch all of the utility skills, so I will just mention the few that you could take. You could take Portal. You could take Reflect, of course, with feedback. You can take Blink if you want to do a mechanic fast. If you need boon removal, you can Arcane Thievery or Null Field. You can use Mimic with some of your skills if you want to double tap it. You can run Signet of Illusions for some reset of your shatters if you really wanted to. You can also go for Signet of Domination for some heavy breakbar damage. And of course, you can go for any deception skills if you wanted to. For example, Crystal Sense for another ambush. So there are many ways, or Sand Through Glass, or they all can be potent in the right situation. So you have like half of your skills could be easily exchanged. Of course, Mantra of the Soul for Condi Cleanse as well. Depends heavily on the fight. So if you have encounter knowledge, you can easily switch the skills to the encounter and you will succeed way more. And then for the elite skill, you would go typically with Moa just for a lot of CC, but you can easily swap that to Mass Invisibility if you want to have more stealth. You can contribute some super speed and quickness as well if you wanted to, or even Chaunt can be useful if you take the self-deception trait. Only then I would take Chaunt. So now let's take a look at this extremely hard-hitting field. It's the extreme damaging field here in the arena, and how we can out-heal this and how we just have to do the rotation. It's like insane how easy that is to upkeep. And I'm not having any boons on me, so it's without quickness even. So I can out-heal this. I will show you. So how is the rotation? Let's first give a showcase and then I will talk about the rotation. So you could see it was very easy for me to out-heal this damaging field without having quickness, without using food. It's really easy. You just have to spam your ambush all the time. So the rotation is quite flexible. You just want to get the might up in the beginning very fast. So you use your Inspiring Imagery and try to shatter with Mind Frag to get some might up. And after that, you just spam your ambush to get Alacrity and just heal the allies and just use your Journey off cooldown and of course Inspiring Imagery. Don't double tap it and use the Singularity Shot for some nice barrier and resistance. And after that, you just always try to shatter F1, F2, F3 if you have 2 clones up. Prioritizing F1 is good for the might up time, but you can just spam them off cooldown. When you need stability, use the Distortion. In general, it's like really easy. You just try to upkeep the 2 clones and always shatter them. And if you currently don't have any way to get more ambushes out with the shatters, you would dodge once to get the ambush skill and use the ambush skill. If you have 2 dodges up, I would always dodge, that's the thing. But if you have like less than 2 dodges up, you can wait until you get 2 up and then dodge again. You can also use the weapon swap if you have the inner sigil on there to actually get another ambush proc, depending of course on the weapon set that you're using. So the rotation is very flexible and you can see it's actually very easy. You just spam your ambushes and use your shatters. That's about it, with the rival skills in conjunction of course. One important note regarding the rival ambush. It's really important to understand that the vigor is only for yourself, the healing is for your allies as well, of course, as well as the alacrity. But the most important part about the rival ambush is that you have to position yourself correctly. So it's a little bit like Firebrand again. You have a cone AoE that's actually quite large, I would say, in front of you. So you have to position yourself behind your allies and the allies have to group up. That's always the case in Guild Wars 2. If the allies group up, it's very easy to support them. If they spread out, it's a little bit harder. So keep in mind, the positioning is key to actually hit the healing on the rival ambush. The alacrity is around you. That's okay. But just the healing is in front of you. Keep that in mind. So you can see in the background, it's actually insanely easy to heal crazy amount of damage. I have a showcase here from the Kinfoil Fractal CM where I just out heal with this, or I can also use that very easily in all the other encounters that are somewhat healing heavy. And I would say in general, it's a really underrated build. It's extremely strong what it can do. And the healing output, don't forget, the extreme damaging field is one of the most dangerous things. And for example, druids struggle with that, for example, even though they are meta healers, because they have so much burst healing and so less consistent healing for the most part. This build has so much consistent healing and even very good burst healing that is like one of the best healing builds right now. Be sure to give it a try if you found that interesting. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks again to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon, and I hope to see you all in the next video.